Hello, good afternoon. How you guys doing? I hope you're doing good. I hope you're staying cool. Today's June 25th, 2024, and it is super hot in Northeast Tennessee. Oh my goodness, girl. It's bad. And it's super humid too. I don't know where you live, but here we have pretty much four seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. And usually, like typically, we don't see these really hot temperatures until maybe August, later on in the summer. But this year, it's exceptionally warm. Um, I don't know what today's temperature is right now, but let's see, I could probably look. But it's been in the 90s here, and we've not had much rain either, so everything's super dry. It's funny, it's the high today is supposed to be 92, and it's 89 right now. But I was driving down the road the other day, and there was a lot of land. I don't know if it was a business or if it was maybe like someone's private property, but there were three huge burn piles, and they were on fire and smoking, and I thought, man, are like you wonder if they're allowed to do that right now because it's so exceptionally dry, and you worry about fires and things like that getting started. Hey, September Virgo, how are you, honey? I hope you're doing good. It's good to see you. I had titled the live stream today pretty much thinking about common themes that I had noticed surrounding Summer Wells' case. And hey, Kirst, how you doing? Good to see you. Common themes that surrounded Summer Wells' case. Um, things that, and certain statements and verbiage that was used from the beginning of when she was first reported missing. And that was back she was reported missing June 15th in 2021. And I'm going to go ahead and switch my banner over to her missing information. So just for the sake of anybody that's new, that is not familiar with her case, Summer Wells in 2021, she was a 5-year-old little girl who went missing from the Beech Creek community of Rogersville, June 15th, 2021. Summer was 5 years old at that time, and it's been 3 years since she was reported missing. Summer has blonde hair and blue eyes. At that time, she was approximately anywhere from 30 to 40 pounds, anywhere from 3 feet to 4 feet tall. Thinner build child, and she had very short hair, we think, at that time, according to the pictures. Her hair was like maybe, I don't know, possibly 2 inches long all over in length. And interestingly enough, on her missing poster, Summer does have longer hair. It's a little bit below her chin, I think. It was taken at a Christmas gathering at her church, and she's smiling. And then there were some other photos that were taken supposedly prior or after photos taken after the Christmas picture that was captured, and her hair was very short. I think it had been shaved either in March or April, but don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. So after all this time, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation did a video 3 years later, after it had been 3 years since Summer was reported missing. And the TBI agent talked about really how he felt that if it was his daughter, obviously he would hope and pray that investigators would put all of their effort and time into finding this child and discovering the events that led up to her disappearance. He said that he had a daughter himself and that he would hope that if that he was in her situation or his family, that the case would not just sit on the shelf and go cold. So I feel like that did kind of, or I hope it did, restore some hope in people surrounding the investigation. And it's interesting because the common things that I have listened to over such a long time frame, I really don't know if I want to discuss them here on this platform. Hey, Outdoorsy Life, how are you? It's good to see you. Because I've gone back and forth with feeling a need and a desire to talk about it with other people that share in the same interest of Summer, her best interest. And however, that being said, you certainly don't want to do anything or say anything that could potentially throw a wrench in something or make people help them to see what you are seeing. And I don't want to do anything or say anything that could potentially, I don't know how to say it. I wouldn't want to do anything harmful toward any type of an investigation, if that makes sense. Because these things have not been discussed at all. Not that I've seen. It's not been talked about. But I did some shorts on my community wall. And I would definitely encourage you to look at those and let me know your thoughts in the comments. You know, it's weird because I didn't realize there was such a huge community online of people that were interested in crime or psychology or investigations. And I mean, there's everything from body cam footage to interrogations, court trials. Like, we're actually seeing trials videotaped in real time, and we're able to watch that and comment on that and share our opinion. And it's insane to me. It's like, man, I didn't realize that existed on YouTube or in the social media realm to the extent that it does. And so I think with that, there are certain aspects that are connected to presenting an investigation or presenting a case online. You have different people's opinions. You have different people's perspective on what could have happened. And then you have certain people that are wanting to sway your opinion on that for what reason. That's what I think the public as a large generally needs to think about, is why is this person wanting me to think or feel in this way? Is it intentional? Is it deliberate? And why? What is the motive behind that? What is the motive behind this public perception? So I was also reading about how, hang on one second, this phone's ringing. I'll be right back. Hang on. Okay, sorry about that. So when you think about how many creators are covering various cases, and what is their, how do you perceive them? How do you see them? Do you envision them as being an honest person, with good intentions? Do you see them on the side of law and justice? Or do you envision them with possibly different intentions, different motives, right? Have you noticed that they've been untruthful or dishonest, or try to sway your opinion of something, giving you false information, perhaps? Or in the digital age that we live in today, people have gotten so savvy and technologically intelligent on creating videos, using artificial intelligence, editing people's words and statements, that you have to be very careful with that as well, I think. I don't know if I've perhaps seen, well, maybe, or heard of anything that was edited, like a taped conversation and such, but it's possible. And then why, if someone is doing that, why are they doing that? Why? What is the gain? What is the motive behind it? Why are they trying to sway your opinion in a certain direction? I don't know. What do y'all think? Are you finding it more difficult to trust certain people and how they present information to you? I feel like sometimes people, want to believe a certain thing, or, and so when you're around like-minded individuals that share in the same opinion, it's easy to get caught up. It's easier to believe certain things if you already have a sense of direction that you're going, or you feel that someone is talking about a motive or even evidence. But you have to be careful, and think for yourself. Think, are they trying to tell me this for other reasons, or then it may not be truthful? Hey, Curiosity, how are you, honey? It's good to see you. I hope you're doing good. I was just kind of going over which I had titled this Common Themes that had surrounded the case of missing summer Utah Wells, her missing case over the last 3 years, but I haven't really got into that yet because I'm kind of teeter-tottering back and forth on whether or not I really should share this information. I maybe shouldn't. Because these are some of the things are things that people have not talked about. I haven't heard them talk about it. If it's been discussed, I don't know about it. It's not to say that it hasn't happened. It possibly could have, and I just haven't found either the right community or the right creator that's discussed these things. And I was just saying how I didn't want to potentially present that to people if it could harm anything investigative wise or whatever. I don't know. And then I was just talking about creators that have covered her case and, you know, what they may be feeling or thinking, their perceptions, their opinions. Are they on the side of the law? Are they on the side of truth and justice? Or otherwise? You know, I feel like, largely speaking, people want a solution, a resolution to Summer's case, into finding out what happened, where she could be. Hey, Darlene, it's good to see you. Hope you're doing good too. Curiosity said it can get scary when you dig deep. It can, I'm sure. But I keep telling myself that the TBI and the feds have excellent investigative resources, right? Technique. They've got to be just on the ball, right, about everything. From digital evidence, hard evidence, even circumstantial evidence. They have to be at the tip top of their game. There is very, very likely nothing that a YouTuber, a creator can think of that they haven't already thought of and done years ago, probably, right? There's certain evidence that we do not have. And likely a lot. So without having any of these hard evidence things, it creates a huge gap, in my opinion, of perception of our opinions on what could have happened to Summer, surrounding Summer. Unless you're those that are closest to or were closest to Summer. And I'm sure they have an idea, a very good idea of what happened. Let's see, Curiosity said, hey, Cursed, I stayed up until 2 a.m. looking for the door slam clip. Looking through Jody clips melted my mind. I'm still looking nonetheless. And I truly think TBI watches some of y'all creators more than we think. Do you think so, Curiosity? I don't see how they would have time. Do you? I mean, think of all the people that have covered Summer's case, and the hours that's like been spent, and how many videos and such that have gone out. I wonder if they do if they have like a designated team or a designated person that's responsible for trying to do any of those things. I don't know. But I'm not sure what you're referring to with the door slamming clip. Sorry. I don't know what that is. Sorry, my neighbor's calling for their dog. But so I'm thinking, like, at this point, after all this time, it's really hard to think that they don't know exactly what's going on or what has happened. It just seems nearly impossible. And you think about the children that were reported missing, that had a rather swift resolution to what happened to them. Madeline Soto, for example. God rest her soul. They were able to find the details. They can't get the dog to come in. The digital data, which was horrific, the evidence that pointed to her murder and the events that surrounded that, and then GPS tracking and finding her remains, her body, rather quickly. They utilized excellent investigative tactics to find Gannon's stock and prosecute or charge and prosecute that woman for his murder. So I do not feel like Tennessee is any different in the other states that have missing children and investigating the circumstances that surrounded their disappearance. I believe that it's just not forthcoming in Tennessee for whatever reason. Let's see. Curiosity said that a lot of creators spend time derailing true information. It makes me think someone important is watching. That may be true. Yeah. Yeah, that dog is running from her. Yeah. They finally got it in. It was excited. They have company, and it was just running around like, you're not going to catch me. Na 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 boo boo. But let's see. Curiosity said, one thing about mountain folks now, this is just my opinion, they know how to beat the system like no one else I've ever seen. It's crazy, but they are raised like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Well, I don't know, I don't know. I think when there's people that have lived a life of crime, of running, of being involved in criminal activity, that certainly sets them apart from your regular white collar non-criminal or blue collar non-criminal that doesn't use those deceptive tactics to evade law enforcement. It certainly does. But on the other side of that too, I think that, Ellie and the feds are, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children now has the assistance of the Secret Service to help investigate children that are missing or being exploited. And I mean, utilizing that agency who protects our government, our president even, that is such a heightened level of investigative tactics that I would think your average mountain criminal wouldn't be able to quite evade, perhaps. I don't know. What do y'all think about that? But I do think perhaps that when you have a very rural area, such as Beech Creek, where cell service, Wi-Fi, things like that are sketchy, limited, or even non-existent, that could potentially put a big wrench into possible digital evidence. Cell phone data, pings. I don't know. If they're not picking up a service, if you don't have service, then I would imagine it's harder to track, where certain people are going or coming from. That could be a possibility, in my opinion. And then also you have people that surrounded Summer that utilize Snapchat to communicate with others, or other ways aside from just texting someone or calling them on a regular phone line. And so with Snapchat specifically, I think that data is what pretty much lost, isn't it? Or it goes away after so long. So if you're not able to get that in real time, or however long it takes before it disappears, I think that data will be lost, perhaps. I don't know enough about it to say for sure, but it's concerning. And I had also read somewhere that they were talking about how Facebook had gotten particularly difficult to subpoena records from. If you were wanting to get the records from a certain, like if you were on Facebook, the instant message chat, and you're wanting to get records from a conversation that was between however many people, that they were difficult in, providing you with those records without a warrant or subpoena or whatever it's called. So I don't know about that, but that's terrible, especially if you're investigating a missing child or a horrendous crime. Which I think Facebook's now called Meta or something like that. Changed the name. Let's see, Outdoorsy Love said, I would think they could use satellite to track the coming and goings. Yeah, I wonder how that would work. Satellite images, you would think so. It's available, right? And if you've got the technology we have this day and time, for Pete's sakes, look how much that we can do and see, and there's Google Maps, and why can they not follow that? But I have to feel like it's because they know, or it's a part of something bigger. I don't know what, but the hope is that it will someday be revealed. or the why, but it may not. It may not. But it's not because I don't think that it's because they don't know. It's for some greater purpose, I feel like, in my heart of hearts. For some reason. I wonder. I probably don't know how to share this short I did. See, I have no idea. I use StreamYard, and it just, where I'm not on the YouTube app itself, it's like I don't know how to go and share that where it's already been uploaded to my YouTube account. I have no idea how to do that. I wish I was more smart. But I hope that you all will think about, who is discussing Summer's case and why they're discussing her case. Is it truly to find out and to get justice for whatever has happened? Is there possibly an ulterior motive that's there? Are they good? Is this a good person that has the best interest of this child that was lost 3 years ago? And obviously, as a community, you don't want that to ever happen to a child, an adult, anyone for that matter. Is this truly an advocate for a vulnerable population? Have they done things that you've seen or heard that aren't on the up and up, that don't show integrity or the best interest of the person that is missing, I should say? Is there anything new that y'all want to talk about or try to look at, or you've heard from anyone else? What what we're seeing. I look at some of the streams that are talking about, let's say, Sebastian Rogers and his disappearance. And y'all, I would have never imagined in my 40-some years of living that I would see and hear like the stuff that you're seeing today on social media. It is mind-boggling. It doesn't even seem real that the events surrounding this child's disappearance and the people and the things that you're watching and discussing, and I can't believe people are acting like they are. It's insane. Hey, Eve Hickam, Garley, Justice for Summer Wells. How are you, honey? Good to see you. Thanks for coming by. But it's like people talking about blackmail and money and all these GoFundMes or searches and funding of those and shirts and merch and bills and staying out of work. I mean, I can't believe that these things are even being talked about or are happening, and we're seeing it in real time. I mean, what does law enforcement think about that? What do you think they think about that? Once there was an Amber Alert that was issued, and I think some time went by, and then his case went to social media or to YouTube. And it's largely been just chaos and, I mean, just wild. I've never seen such wild things in my life. And like I said, it does not seem real to me. It does not seem legitimate. It does not seem honest. I don't know how else to put it, and I'm thinking, what does law enforcement, what would they think about seeing all of this? How do they view this? Are they using any of this investigatively? Um, and I'll tell you why. What I mean, it's insane. There was a creator that posted an article that I believe it was from the UK, where law enforcement there was studying. Let me think about this. I don't want to get it wrong. Law enforcement was studying social media and how, I think it was people that participated in discussing true crime cases. How does social media influence an investigation, a possible criminal investigation, and maybe civil too? I don't know. But they were talking about it was a study that was being done on if social media was helpful or harmful to an investigation. And it really has made me think about how this is a topic. This is definitely, I mean, it's obviously out there. And so our comments and our videos and our input may be being studied by different government agencies in how what could be deemed as harmful versus helpful. Does that make sense? Hey, Crystal's Crime Conversations. How are you? Hope you're doing good. Thanks for coming by. So when I talk about that or mention that, you think about the TBI they had mentioned in Summer Wells' case. Was it 6,500 tips, y'all? Please help me remember. I hate to get that wrong too, but it seemed like it was somewhere around there. Does anybody have it, the number off the top of their off the top of their mind? So imagining having to filter through, let's just say 6,500 tips. Now let's imagine that those were all, or let's say 5,000 tips. Let's say 5,000 tips was received from social media alone, something that someone had viewed or saw or heard on a YouTube video surrounding this child's case. I mean, that would be extremely labor intensive already, I mean, having to go through 5,000 tips. How many of those are repetitive tips? How many of those, is just the same information that's regurgitated over and over, or that was called in like a duplication of a tip, right? You think about, or something that they saw, or something that a parent said, and look at both of those cases. Summer Wells and Sebastian Rogers cases have largely been social media driven, discussed. You've had presentation, or you've had videos, interviews the parents have done, neighbors have done, church members have done, psychics have done, friends of the family have done, searchers, alleged searchers, let's talk about that. And then some from a search organization, yes. And then all their affiliations too. And then those interviews, those videos have been discussed more and more and more and more. I mean, we are 3 years later for Summer's disappearance, right? And people are still saying, let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning. How much of that is going to be called into TBI? Is that going to be a repetitive thing? Is that going to be a possible tip that they've already gotten from the beginning? I don't know. But I would think it would be so labor intensive having to prioritize and organize incoming information that's largely from potentially speculative videos that people have watched on social media. And then some people have downright just said that they came here or that they have lied, or that they have been, dishonest, and, quote, fed YouTube a bunch of bullshit or something like that. Hot garbage. So, okay, what's your motive there? Hey, Victoria. Burgess, good to see you. Hope you're doing good, honey. We were just talking about investigations and how they're discussed on social media, and the tips that could potentially be generated from purely, watching let's say a YouTube video that's discussing a case of a missing child, such as Summer Wells or Sebastian Rogers. So Crystal's Crime Conversations, you said I would love to read about this study. I had shared it on my community wall maybe within a month ago, and I tagged Angel Talks Too Fast in it. She had shared it originally, and I got the video, and I actually went and looked up the study and read it a little bit more of what she had posted, I think it was. And so if that's the one if you want to go back and read that, that's the one. That might hopefully save you some time. So, and I was just saying pretty much oh, thanks, Crystal. Yeah, I had originally I was going to talk about some common themes that I noticed or picked up on, I should say, since Summer went missing 3 years ago. And a common themes that have reoccurred and are even now being kind of more discussed openly. But I really hesitated to talk on that because nobody had been talking about that previously that I have been aware of. And I just didn't want to share anything that could possibly influence people or that could be harmful to any kind of an investigation. So I decided not to talk about that, at least not right now. I think it's probably wise not um, to share those thoughts. But it led me to think about the cases and how they're discussed on social media, and creators and how they come up to talking about it and discussing it, and their level of what is their motive, what is their goals. And part of my goal too, not only is to raise awareness for a missing child, especially the one that went missing from my area, my hometown, my state, my community, but to also raise awareness for mental health issues and vulnerable populations, and the kids that may be slipping through cracks, and help prevent how to prevent crimes from occurring. And I largely feel like mental health problems surrounds a large, huge portion of why these crimes occur. Whether that's a history of abuse, history of neglect, history of substance addictions, and then mental illness that's not diagnosed, not treated properly, and then you have any lived experience of abuse or neglect, and how all of those things combined can create anger, frustration, impatience, not able to handle or cope daily living, your children, taking care of them, your household duties, being a contributing person to society and making, your community a better place. Recognizing if your friend is struggling and how to approach them, or, who to alert for help or who to ask for help when someone needs help. So those things are things that I like to talk about and discuss and raise awareness for. It is okay to ask for help if you are a loved one struggling. Let me see. I'm going to put the crisis text line. Crystal said, let's see. I just spoke about this last night in my Kayleen Live. We have to be smarter here on YouTube. Yes, ma'am. I'm sure there's a due diligence, that should be, that everybody should try to strive for, like, what are your intentions of presenting XYZ material? And what audience do you want to talk to? Have you vetted your sources? And then who are you listening to? Are they good people? Do they have a good heart, good intentions? Have they done things in the past that are questionable? I don't know. I'm rambling now. Oh, thank you, September. You're so sweet. I appreciate that. You know, I was the kid that, like, I remember growing up, and it used to kill me when people were picking on somebody or bullying a kid. I I hated that, and I would always stand up for the underdog, the kid that didn't have what they should have, or that they were being, mistreated. It just always bothered me. But gosh, on social media, I don't know, y'all. This realm of things that we're watching and seeing and listening to, some of the things, let's just say this, some of the things don't seem real. Doesn't seem legitimate. Doesn't seem on the up and up. And just be careful, what you're listening to or what you're watching. Are their intentions good? Let's see, Crystal. I'm guilty of being in the confusion, but it was unintended. An attacks on me that made me frustrated and angry. I can only learn. Well, sure, that's all any of us can do. I mean, we as a society, the hope is that if you've made a mistake about anything, that you learn from it and you grow from it and you apologize and you move on. I think, I don't know. Well, for me personally, when I started watching a lot of the videos on social media, on YouTube about Summer's case, I was naive. I did not realize that certain people didn't have those same intentions that I had, let's just say, or that were here discussing her case for the right reasons, or to help in any way with an idea, a thought. Could this be going on? Could that be going on? And there's a level for certain of responsibility there, that you have to take. It is worrisome. You don't want to put names out there that innocent people could be put into bad situations or being accused of things that they didn't do or that they weren't involved in. And it makes it hard at the same time when those closest to Summer came out and spoke. Her parents, her neighbors, her friends, her church members. Because that opens up the dialogue, right? That opens up the conversations that start flowing. And before too long, you're caught up in your own opinions about these people and the what could have happened, right? You're caught up in, are they truthful? Are they lying? Are they hiding something? Who are they associated with? Did they talk about this person or that person? And before long, you've listened to other people mention other names that maybe haven't been discussed. But I think the important thing is knowing that law enforcement has that information, right? They know those that were closest to Summer. And you hope and pray that all and any of the digital evidence was turned over, if any was missing. Let's see, September said to Crystal, it gets to be hard not to defend yourself when you have folks coming at you. Then when anyone goes to defend anyone, then they are attacked. Yeah, that's true, September. It is hard not to defend yourself. I agree. And I've been brought up on social media too for things that I did not do. And it's hard to not I guess state those things on a public platform in real time, and to go through all of that and the things that surrounded that. But I think it's important for me personally to know that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I know the truth. Law enforcement knows the truth. Those are the important things. Oh, thank you, Crystal. I appreciate it. But I think it's just, I don't know what it is. I haven't, I didn't come here to have what, like, I didn't come here to, didn't come here to, what's the word, like, I don't know what the word is I'm trying to think of, y'all. But basically, the goal was to see if there was anything that people were mentioning or talking about related to Summer being missing. And there's a mystery about that, of not knowing, that I think makes people want to know more, perhaps, or want to learn more. And not knowing if the child is okay or well or safe or being hurt. There's a sadness about that, in the not knowing, and worry for her and her safety, that makes you, I think, want to know more, because there's a concern for that child. What is she going through? Why did this happen? Why is it not resolved? And those things, you think, draw people into want to discuss the whys. But then you realize that there's some people that came to this sector of YouTube that don't have the best intentions. Though that's not why they're here, I don't think. They're not here to want to find out and learn and prevent something from happening in the future and make your community safer. It's about other things, perhaps. I don't know. But it seems like the UK, I think it was a British study. I'd have to go back and look again. But it seems that the UK has picked up on looking at social media and how crimes are reviewed and discussed, and people that contribute to the discussion, and how even creators present cases to their audience, and learning how that can potentially harm an investigation. Is there, I would imagine that they're thinking, because think about it. If you, let's just say you have a family and there's a child that goes missing in that family, and you get a non-investigator that contacts the family directly and talks to them, and then that information is put online and presented to the entire universe forever. The internet's forever. You may have just talked to, and I'm not talking about Summer specifically, I'm talking about a hypothetical family. And let's say that someone in that family had harmed that child. Then if you present this to the world, this interview, you've potentially damaged the case. A defense attorney could possibly look at that and say, we're throwing this out. This was stated, this guy wasn't under oath. He wasn't being investigated by a law enforcement officer. They weren't read their rights by Ellie. And you've just thrown out justice entirely for this said hypothetical child. You see what I'm saying? Or if you have a discussion with a potential witness, and that witness gives you an account of the events that happened that day, or they do it on their own fruition. They come on their own platform and they talk about these things, giving you details from A to Z, conflicting stories, conflicting information, timestamps that aren't repeated, and it's just a whole whirlwind of bullshit, craziness that is ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. For one, they're going to throw out that witness, I would think, because they're going to say, your testimony is not reliable. It's already been told to the public. Number two, and there's going to be no account, or they're not going to be able to contribute to justice for said child if they're talking to people on social media or on their own platform. So you think, wow, this is probably, in my opinion, this is probably the things that I would imagine the UK are studying. Oh God, I've got a wasp flying in my hair. I normally, when I come out here and sit on the porch, I normally turn this fan on, but I think it would be too much noise for y'all. It's tainted. Yeah, September. Crystal said a lot of stuff in Summer's case should not have made it to the internet. Yeah, and that that in itself makes me have other questions, right? Now, do you guys know? And I ask that because just what you said, Crystal, a lot of stuff in Summer's case should not have made it to the internet. And I agree absolutely with you. So when I think about that, I think about, why did it? Why was it allowed? And why did it happen? So when you think about children that have been harmed or murdered the Madeline Soto and Gannon Stonk in particular. I personally did not see social media interviews of the parents and those closest to those children. I saw they were interviewed by a news reporter. Madeline Soto's mother was, and Stephen Stearns was. But did you all see them going on anybody's true crime channel on YouTube and talking about anything? Or Leticia? Did any of you see her going on any YouTube true crime channel discussing anything? If they did, I missed that. I did not see that. Crystal said, it makes me wonder if it wasn't done on purpose. And if it was, Crystal, why? Why was it? I don't know. September said no, not in those particular cases. Well, you guys, I want y'all to think about those things, though, and think about what you're seeing in Sebastian Rogers' case, how it's unfolding on social media, okay? I've got to run, but sending y'all much love, and I'll talk to you soon.